Attention, I'll call this meeting to order. If you'll stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, now we need to have a roll call to establish a quorum, but I can see everybody's here, so we're 100% today. So we'll have a full quorum on that, John. And so next is on the minutes. You want to address that? Say anything about them?
Not really. I do have copies up here if somebody would like a copy of the written meeting. There are other sources, the web and so forth on that you can look at them and listen to them. If you want a complete rendition, listen to the clip because it goes on for an hour and a half or so. But we consolidated quite a bit on this, so it should be the key point. So
right, and there is two sets. There's the standard meeting, and then we had to have a special meeting because there was things that was had some time criticality to them. So we had a special meeting and took care of that thing. So I'll ask the board members for because we've all had a chance to read them, for a motion to approve the minutes from the 7/17 meeting and the special meeting.
Motion to approve.
Juliana?
Second.
Okay. Okay, any discussion on the minutes? Okay, that looked good to me. So I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor of approving both sets of minutes, please raise your right hand. Okay, unanimous. Okay, next would be recognitions and proclamations, and we have none of those, so we can pass on to public comments. Our rule is that we ask for anybody that has a comment or question, we welcome those, we encourage those, but we ask for them be submitted 48 hours at least before, so we have a chance to look at what we would need to answer. But there was none, so there is none this time. But keep that in mind, because in the future, if you do have something, we welcome you bringing it up. On the reports, under that, I'm just going to add a couple of guests that we have. Chris Seelig and John Schroeder had requested to speak to the city council. So if one of you guys want to start first, I'll let Chris call. I'll let him.
My name's Chris Seelig. I was born and raised here in Garden. My father was the elected sheriff here for 12 years.
Microphone, please.
That would. We're all hard of hearing.
Yeah, can you hear me now? My name's Chris Seelig. I'm a Garland County resident, lifelong. My father was sheriff of Garland County. He was the longest elected sheriff here in Garland County. He served 12 years. And the reason I wanted to come speak with y'all tonight, because I decided that I wanted to run sheriff for Garland County. I have issues with Mike McCormick, with the way he's run our county, our jail, the way he's divided the employees that work for him. Some really dirty things. I don't know if y'all have sheriff patrols out here constantly since you're taxpayers and you pay for it. I'm kind of curious if they come out all the time.
I'm going to talk about that in a little bit.
Okay. So that's the type of man I'm running against, okay? So I jumped in his race to beat him. And then I realized John Schroeder's running. So I met with John a couple months ago. We had dinner together. And he's been at the sheriff's office 18 years?
Starting 17.
17 years. Much more deserving of the job. He works there, and I'm throwing my support behind him. But however, I'm going to continue to speak out on the indiscretions that this gentleman uses to run our county. And I think Diamond Head has got a taste of it. And it needs to change. I was born and raised at the sheriff's office. I grew up there. And I've been around law enforcement my entire life. So, with that being said, thanks for letting me talk. And John's going to get up here and speak and listen to what he's got to say, because he's going to be the next sheriff of Garland County. And he's going to be a great sheriff for Garland County and for Diamond Head, because I think they'll need it. So thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
So, Mayor, I was raised Southern Baptist, so if I go too long, just throw something at me, all right?
Right.
So y'all, I'm John Schroeder, been with the Sheriff's Department. This will be starting my 17th year. Been there long enough to know I don't know it all. But I have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I'm gonna tell you who I am. I'm a kid that grew up in Little Rock, Arkansas. My dad was an eye surgeon. He just retired from being an ophthalmologist for 57 years over there. Him and Mom just had their 60th wedding anniversary this last December. So I've got some really good role models to follow. I was born and raised in Little Rock. In 2009, I jumped the pews at First Baptist Church to go get saved. I didn't know you weren't supposed to do that in the Baptist church, but I did it. And then I'm the typical American kid, right? When I turned about 16, I thought I knew something, and I got smarter than my parents, and I ran from God for a long time, about 15 years, acting like a knucklehead. I think that really helped me prepare for a career in law enforcement, because you can't get over on me, because I've been there and I've seen it. Right? Luckily, I never got in any trouble. But in my early 30s, my dad all of a sudden became smarter than me. And so at this point, I've been with the Sheriff's Office 16, going on 17 years, been with the SWAT team 14 years. Started as a reserve deputy. The reason I started was because I tried to get in the United States Marine Corps, but MEPS permanently disqualified me from any branch of service due to a head injury I had in 1997. So I was young and dumb, and I'm going to tell you the truth. I was drunk on a four-wheeler, and I should have been killed. And I smacked my head on a rock and crushed it open right here. You can probably see that scar. Some little family just happened to be out there in the Washita National Forest and heard it. Found me floating face down in the creek to save my life. And it just happened to be a car drove past, happened to have an emergency room nurse of 30 years who just happened to have all her critical care kit with her. So you can't tell me the Lord's not lining that stuff up, right, for a knucklehead like me. So, fast forward, now been married, going on 13 years. I've got 4 great kids, 2 which I adopted. 19-year-old who started National Park Nursing School. Her first day of school was yesterday. Called her yesterday. I said, how was it? She said, it was kind of scary, but I like it. I said, well, good for you. So she's moved out, got her own little apartment, working hard. I've got a 16-year-old at Lake Hamilton. And then I've got my last 2. Johnny is about to be 12, no, about to be 13, and he's at Gospel Light Christian School. And my littlest Ace is 6, and he's at Gospel Light Christian School. So I love this community. I'm a transplant. I moved here in 2001, and I've been here ever since and love it. You couldn't pay me enough money to go back to Little Rock. There's no way. But my goal with the Sheriff's Department is this. I want to be a leader who gets in front and pulls the ship, right? Not the guy in the back with the whip. So I'm not going to ask my guys or girls to do something that I wouldn't do or haven't already done. So my goal is to create a culture of family at the Sheriff's Office where people don't want to leave. Right now we're losing people to the Hot Springs Police Department because they pay a little bit more. We're losing people to the Arkansas State Police. They pay a lot more because their benefits are amazing. So I'm losing one of my best SWAT operators in a month. He's going to the state police. Part of that's for money, but part of it's also because of the way he's been treated. Right? There are 5 people that left at the last state police hiring spree that left from our agency, and all 5 of them said it was the way they were treated by supervisors is the real reason they left. Guys, I'm a patrol sergeant right now. I don't know everything. I do know I have a business degree. I've got a marketing management business degree. I've got an associate's degree in criminal justice. I also know if you stay in college long enough, they're going to kick you out of the degree anyway. C's make degrees, right? And banker never asked about that. So I love what I do, but most importantly, I love the people I work with and for, and I love the people of this county. Like, literally would lay my life down for you guys right now if I had to. I don't want to, but I will. Okay, and I know that you guys are an underserved portion of the county. I find that ridiculous. I find the fact that you're taxpayers and inside this county, you should have regular patrol inside your gates. Especially right now while you don't have a police force, right? So I can promise you this, I am not a politician. I am a cop who loves people and loves his job. And if the Lord puts me in that spot, I will never come tell you something and then go to another party or another town and tell them something different to tickle your ears. I'm going to tell you about me, and if you like me, that's okay. And if you don't, that's okay. Right? Because we're Americans. So I'm going to ask you to vote your conscience in March in the Republican primary, because I am running against Mike McCormick. I'm not going to say anything bad about him. But I am going to say I'm going to be a stark difference than him. And by that I mean I'm going to be positive, I'm going to be polite, I'm going to be professional, I'm going to treat my guys and girls in such a way that they have no desire to leave for a few thousand more dollars. What I believe is when we create that culture of family, what's going to happen is the way we treat each other internally will spill over to how we treat the people in the community. Because if you're treated poorly at work as a cop, it's really easy to treat the public poorly because of the attitude shift. It's kind of like, y'all know the person in your life, when they walk into the room brightens up. And you're like, man, I wish they wouldn't leave, right? There's one right there. And I wish they wouldn't leave. And when they do leave, the room kind of dims, right? Well, I want to be that person for my people. Like, hey, guys and gals, let's love our job. Let's work hard. Let's serve the people of Garland County in the right way. And let's just be polite, professional. Let's support the Constitution. If the Second Amendment falls, all the other amendments fall, right? The First Amendment's really important. As a cop, the Fourth Amendment is the thing you really got to worry about, right? Because the Fourth Amendment protects you from unlawful search and seizure. If I find out as sheriff that anybody in my office is violating the Fourth Amendment, you can bet they won't have a job. Because your constitutional right to be free from unconstitutional search and seizure and to be free from jackbooted thuggery is more important than catching somebody. And that's what I try to tell my guys and girls on shift. I'm like, look, and forgive me for this colloquialism, I don't know if I coined it or not, but I might have. I call them meth amphibians, right? Because we got the lake and they're all meth, right? I deal with them all the time, not you guys, right? But the ones that are on meth. Well, when you're dealing with a meth amphibian, his or her constitutional rights are just as important as mine. Just because you think you know there's something wrong in that car, if you don't have probable cause, you need to stop. Because it's called the fruit of the poisonous tree, and you should not step on anyone's constitutional rights, regardless of what you think about it. Best thing my training officer ever taught me, O.A. Wynn, I don't know if any of y'all remember him. He's since passed on. He said, John, you can come to this job every day and you can get in a fight. You can justify it because you're the police. Or you can treat every person like you would treat the President of the United States. And you will find out that you'll talk 99% of people in handcuffs. I don't know how many times that one piece of advice has saved my life, but it is multiple. And my dad always told me, son, you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. And you remember it took me until about 33 for him to get smarter than me. But he was right, and I still call him for counsel this day. I'm blessed beyond measure to have a praying mom, a praying dad, who love one another, who love the Lord, and who give me good counsel. Now, am I going to be a perfect sheriff? Nope. Am I going to make a mistake? You bet. But if I do, I will own it, and it won't be because we violated the Constitution, and it won't be because we violated the law, and it won't be because we violated the rules of criminal procedure. Because I know those front and back, and I love them. I pass out the Constitution to all the people on my shift. They all have a pocket Constitution, and they all have a pocket Declaration of Independence. And I make them read it. The problem with most cops today is they get about a day or two of the Academy of Constitution. And that's all they get their entire career, and they never dig any deeper, and they can't spell Constitution. Well, I'm going to change that, because I'm here to tell you right now, there are two pieces of literature in my life that are the most important. The first is the Holy Bible, and the second is the United States Constitution, which was based on the Holy Bible. So if we don't uphold the Constitution, we got nothing. If you guys vote me in as your sheriff, I'll promise you this. I will be transparent, I will be available for you, and I will tell you the unvarnished truth. Now, if it's an open investigation and I need to keep things quiet until we finish the investigation, that's a little different. But I will tell you the unvarnished truth, you will know who I am. I will give you my cell phone number tonight. And if you need to call me, you call me. And if I can help you between now and the time I sit in that seat, I'll help you. I'll do everything I can for you. So thank you guys for letting me be here. I can tell you this, I love my county, I love my community. Diamond Head is part of it. The village is part of it, they're underserved too. Jessieville's part of it, they're underserved too. Lonsdale's part of it, they're underserved too. There's nothing to it except, guys, this is the East Zone. In your zone, please go to Diamond Head a couple of times a day, 2, 3, 4 times a day. Go drive through, say hello. I've been in your neighborhood as a patrol sergeant. I've been there. And you'll see me out here more because it's important to me. I try to hit every zone throughout the day when I'm on shift. So if you guys have any questions, comments, jokes, prayer requests, or snide remarks, y'all can let them fly. And I'll give you my cell phone number before I leave. Thank y'all for letting me come out.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
All right. The next order of business is the financial report, so I'm going to hand it over to John for that.
Well, now that we have some money, we did get to pay some bills. Basically, there are things that we've talked about here in the past, our office rent, of course, and some identification stuff for the office. We have a couple, well, there are actually 4 items were published in the Sentinel Record, and then our accounting software that we have paid for to this point. We also had to purchase a $5,000 CD to guarantee the bank credit card. In that, as a new city, we had no credit history. So basically the way it worked, we had to put an application in so they could deny it, so we could go to the next step and go this other way. But we do have a CD on file with the bank, and we do have the credit cards now to utilize for city purchases. As it stands today, or not today, but at the end of July, we had $127,061 and some odd cents in the general fund. Our roads fund is growing, and obviously we can't spend any money out of that at this point. But we now have on hand $20,614. Any questions on that? Yes.
Who's our bank?
Arvest is the bank. Anything else? Okay, thank you much.
Okay, thank you. To approve the treasurer's report, I'd like to have a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Patty?
Second.
Juliana? Okay, any other discussion about it? Questions? Okay, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the report, raise your right hand. Okay, unanimous. Okay, we have a couple of other reports, and Kendra, if you want to go ahead. Kendra wanted to...
First.
I'm sorry?
Wasn't Benny first?
Well, I can do that. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, Benny, are you ready? All right, I'll turn it over to you. Benny's going to give us the latest update on the annexation of Hot Spring County, and we've got a timeline now that we have to be working to and following. So, thank you.
There's nothing new. I've already presented all of the state annexation statutes to the council at several meetings. We have been working with the Arkansas GIS to get the legal description, the legal map of the Hot Springs County side, just to kind of refresh some of your memories. We could not annex but 1/10 the size of the Garland County side, which, telling our sheriff, we have 983 people on the Garland County side, and we're getting ready to annex option C, which we presented to the council, and they voted to go option C because it is the most populous of the total Hot Springs area to be annexed, and that will put us at about 1,100 people if it passes November the 3rd.
March.
March 3rd, yeah. So the latest is we reduced, got all the contacts, everybody's ready, and then we put everything on hold, and then Ralph said we're ready to go. We updated the timeline, and I want to thank Kendra Rossner and Monica for working on the annexation committee, and I have given Ralph the timeline to give to each of the council people. It basically tells them what to do, when to do it, and what you got to have, and all of the documents. We have all of the documents. You have the letter from the Arkansas GIS, you've got the legal description, you've got the legal map. We have the names to the county clerks in both counties. We've got the names of the county election commission folks that you'll need to visit with. Our city clerk has got more work on the table. And then we're getting the voter list for all of the areas. We already have the Garland County side. And now we're working on the option C, residents only. And those two areas will be voting on the annexation of option 3. So it is in your hands now, and the annexation committee is looking into getting names now of option C residents who will be contacted by the Hot Springs County Clerk's office, and then the Garland County Clerk's office will contact the Garland County side. And then we'll be working with the council. Are there any questions? All right.
Well, thank you, Benny, and also thanks a lot, Kendra and Monica, because I know, just after you got the incorporation done and you thought life was going to smooth out, then we come along and say, well, can you also help us on the annexation part? But you already knew the people, you knew the process and all. Some of the things we have to do, and that's why the timeline is so important. There's so many things in there that has to be done, and things turned into the election commission and other things on a timely manner to get us to the March. We have to also draft a ordinance that kicks it off, and there's certain specific things that have to be in there, and unlike some of the other ordinances where we can suspend the rules and only read it once, that one is required to be read 3 times. So there's 3 months right there. And yeah, Benny?
I forgot to say, we're working, the timeline is for November the 3rd election. And the part of our plan, March the 3rd, because there is a November 3rd election. But if we pass at the November 3rd election, we can annex the entire rest of Hot Springs County. And that puts us over the statute that said if your city is less than 1,000, you can only annex 1/10. That is why we've gone this route. But if it passes, that puts us over this 1,000 limit, then we can annex at the November 3rd election, because there's no timeline of how many times you can annex. So that's good news, that we can possibly have the entire Diamond Head, Hot Springs County side, Garland County side, part of Diamond Head, the city of Diamond Head.
Right. And so that would be November 26th. And also, just to remind everybody, we were November of 2026.
Oh,
yeah. Sorry. But, and the reason it's all on our minds, we looked a long time at November, but what we ran up against was, because of that kind of election, we would have to pay the cost for the whole election. And since the primary is in March, we only have to pay for our little bit, so it means quite a number of thousands of dollars just to wait those few months. So we felt that was the prudent thing to do. And then we can already be in line for, like she says, the rest of the Hot Spring County part of Diamond Head in November. By then, our population will be probably in the order of 1,300 or something, I think. So that's the time. But again, thanks so much for working on that. A lot of details. Appreciate it. Okay, Kendra. Kendra wants to address the city council, so I'm going to pass it to her.
Thank you. I'm a resident of Hot Spring County, so I'm not actually in the city quite yet. But I did want to make an announcement related to Hot Spring County, to the city. Regarding the Justice of the Peace, there's going to be an opening in Hot Spring County. And we would really like to get someone from Diamond Head in Hot Spring County to represent us at the county level. So I'm just making an announcement that the filing deadline for the Justice of the Peace in Hot Spring County is November 3rd of 2025. The election will take place on November 3rd of 26. And the term for the Justice of the Peace in Hot Spring County begins in January of 2027. We're in District 4 in Hot Spring County. I think we would all benefit from representation at the county level, even once we're incorporated into the city. And over the years, I'd just like to add on a personal level, I have seen so many of our residents step up to the plate in things that I never expected that we'd be able to do. So I'd like to just put in a plug if we could get somebody to run for JP in Hot Spring County. If you're interested, I have the phone number of a woman who lives in Bismarck who would be happy to help you, walk you through the steps. It doesn't make any difference if you're a Republican, a Democrat, an independent, a libertarian. We just would like to see some representation from Diamond Head. So if you're interested in running, come and see me at the end of the meeting, and I'll give you the phone number of the lady in Bismarck who can provide all the help that she possibly can to you. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Kendra. Okay, we now are going to move into some of the business, and I had two things on unfinished business. But let me go ahead and speak about the first one. And that's what had listed there, a resolution for Garland County Sheriff Patrol. And we thought we had that settled, but, well, it's just kind of a long story. Sometimes you can come to an agreement, but by the time everybody has to read everything and the lawyers have to look at it and everything they have to do, it takes longer than you would suspect. So the way this has been going, I'd had a couple of conversations with Sheriff Mike McCormick, and then I met with him and the county judge and the county attorney for Garland County, and we were looking at how to come to an agreement. We need some extra security, some patrolling out here, but in the meanwhile, we're looking at setting up a city marshal, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But anyway, in setting up the agreement, there's interlocal agreements between different governing agencies, and that's what this would be with Garland County. And honestly, most of the discussions have been driven by Judge Mahoney, and in terms of the money, he's the one that defines that. And so what they want to do is to provide 2 patrols every 24-hour period. So 1 patrol in the day that would hit all the roads in the Garland County Park, or the city, and then 1 at night. They would do the same thing. The fee that they're asking for that would be $300 that same 24-hour period. But this is also 24/7, so when you add that up over the month, that's $9,000 a month for 2 patrols a day. Now the discussion I had with him, I talked to Mike McCormick about, okay, what is additionally this costing? And he said, nothing. That's not enough to be able to add personnel or add equipment or anything, but the judge is really defining that. And so then I had a conversation with the judge and said, look, we don't mind paying for additional service out here. Of course, we have been getting none because only in an emergency do they come to Diamond Head, because originally it was private and then now it's a city municipality. So But I said, there's really no additional cost to the county, so we ought to be able to knock that down quite a bit. And they hold the cards, and they wouldn't do it. So it was that or nothing. So we're trying to, as quickly as we can, set up a city marshal so that we aren't relying on them. But they'll always be there for emergencies. So anyway, the long story is I worked with our city attorney. He tried to find some examples of that kind of agreement. Garland County didn't have any. And our attorney could not find one. So I just took another interlocal agreement we had with Garland County, and I just used the format and the text wording, but changed the words to meet what we needed to propose, and gave that to them. So I just drafted it and gave it to them. They've had it now for a while, and I've asked about it, and we're reviewing it, is what I'm getting. So anyway, bottom line is, wasn't ready for tonight. I really hoped it would be, but we will continue talking with them and pushing to try to get to that. So the other one is ordinance on electronic payments. We found, we set up the checking accounts, and we've been working at to do some things like these name tags. They're cheapest and easiest gotten off of Amazon, but we don't have to send them a check and deal with that. They don't really do that very well. So once we got the credit card set, then we could add the ones that we needed to add. So that's been helpful. But then also there's some things that we need to set up a draft or automatic kind of payment through an ACH type electronic funds transfer. And there are certain rules that you have to follow in the banking. You have to have 2 signatures on the transactions. And so the state has passed statutes that allow for the electronic fund payments, but you have to do it a certain way, and you have to have an ordinance for that. So we still are finishing. We have finished the forms, because we have an ACH payment form that can be used for people paying to the city. We have one for a single payment where the city is paying someone, and so we work that with them. And then there's another one for a recurring payment. So there are other kinds of electronic transfers, but right now we're really just talking about the ACH type, and it'll make it simpler. So I think we're I need this. Yeah. Okay. So I have the ordinance that we have worked through, and I have to read the ordinance. But first we have to suspend the rules, because that's the crazy thing about the laws. It's set in there where you have to read them 3 times. That's an old requirement, but basically everybody suspends the rules to read it only once. And so I would be open for a motion to suspend the rules to read the ordinance 2025-011 once tonight.
I move to suspend the rules.
Second.
Okay, any questions, discussion? Okay, all those in favor of suspending the rules, raise your hand. Okay, it takes 2/3. That's a unanimous, so we won't have to read it once. So this ordinance, 2025-011, is an ordinance authorizing the City of Diamond Head to make electronic fund disbursements of municipal funds to pay accounts and financial institutions and declaring an emergency. Whereas the City of Diamond Head, Arkansas, hereinafter the city, has need of, from time to time, to make funds transfer by electronic payment directly into payee accounts in financial institutions. And whereas authorizing the city to disperse electronic payments allows the city to implement efficient, accurate, secure, and for timely payment and accounting procedures. And whereas Arkansas Code ANN 14-59-105 permits such electronic payment methods and payment of any account allowed against the municipality if authorized by ordinance. Now be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Diamond Head, Arkansas, that Section 1, a municipal officer or employee responsible for the disbursements for the city shall have authority to disperse electronic funds payments directly into payee accounts in financial institutions when necessary for payment of any expense allowed against the municipality. Section 2, the disbursement of the city funds shall include adequate supporting documentation for the disbursement. Section 3, the electronic funds payment method used by the city shall provide for internal accounting controls and documentation for audit and accounting purposes recommended by Arkansas Legislative Audit Informed Systems Best Practices. Section 4, the electronic funds payment method established by this ordinance shall not be implemented unless it has been approved by the Legislative Joint Accounting Committee, Auditing Committee. Section 5, emergency clause. City Council hereby finds and determines that due to the urgent and immediate need to make timely and secure payments for amounts owed to payees for obligations of the municipality, these provisions shall be made effective immediately. As such, an emergency is hereby declared to exist, shall be in force and effect from and after its passage and approval. Passed and approved by the City Council of Diamond Head, Arkansas on the date of August 20th, 2025. And then it had the signatures of myself and John. And they're behind me, so we'll get that after we pass it. Also, since we have emergency clause, we have to first vote on that. So I think I need a motion to approve the emergency clause in this ordinance.
Motion to approve the emergency clause.
Juliana?
Second.
Patty, second. Okay, any questions on that? Any other discussion on emergency clause? And I know it is because we've got some things that are going to have to come up quickly to have to be paid this way, so we can't wait 30 days required to put it in place. So all those in favor of the emergency clause, raise your hand. Okay, unanimous? Okay, and I have a motion to accept the ordinance 2025-011.
Motion to accept the ordinance.
Second.
Leon, second. Okay. Is there any other discussion or question about it? Okay, if not, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of the ordinance, raise your hand. Okay, unanimous again. Okay. That takes care of the unfinished business. Really nothing under the new business. So let me talk about some things that's just really reporting on my part to the City Council. You know, we had in May 15th, we passed an ordinance establishing a building permit and building inspections. You know, there had been those under the POA for years, but about a few years ago, they decided to do away with those, so there has been nothing. And we feel like for the integrity of the building and for the people to be comfortable out here with what's being built, that we needed those inspections. And so we passed the ordinance. We did not pass it as an emergency because wanted, you know, this was new, wanted to be able to try to get the word out, wanted to be able to give people time to adjust to that, because also in there it had that once the ordinance took effect, then it allowed those already under construction 30 days to get a permit, and then we would evaluate where they were and see what could still be inspected, because some things would be covered up and passed. And so we were working it that way. Well, along that lines then, we, of course, you know, we published it in the paper, we put it out on our Facebook and, you know, got the word out that way. But on June 24th, I wrote a letter to all the builders that I could know of that was building out here at that time. And basically said just what we just said. You know, we now passed an ordinance, it's in effect. Here's what you need to do, here's where you can find everything on our website. You can come to the office and get packages and what have you. Well, I gave them 30 days to do that. Okay, again, trying to be accommodating and everything. Crickets, you know. So, I wrote another letter to them on August the 14th, and I gave copies to all the council members. And basically, it kind of restated some of that, but also said that gave them till this weekend, basically, or we'd start actions. enforce it. And, well, again, kind of crickets for a while. So I've left several voice messages on the phone numbers I've gotten. I've left text messages. And so last week, I got a call from one of the builders, and he's like, okay, we're trying to figure this out. We have to have 2 permits. So I explained, POA has one, we have one, ours is the only one with inspections. So, they're trying to understand, I think, honestly, what's going on. So that was a good conversation that went. Then I've had some others. Some I've just not been able to get out of. They've not called, and so I turned that over to our city attorney today. And then I had one that I discussed with yesterday that called. So it's getting close enough that we get in to see, okay, what are we going to be up against? So we had a good conversation, but in the end, there was no commitment, and I said, I'm turning it over to our city attorney. But he called back today and said, okay, we've talked about this, and we don't want to get slowed up. We don't want to get into something here, so we want to act pretty quickly. We'll get the forms into you first of next week or by Wednesday, and they wanted us to have our building inspector, if we can, go out tomorrow or this weekend. So I passed that on to David, to look and see just where they are right now, what inspections can still be done, so they know what to come in with. So basically they said, what the inspections and a few $100s is a small price to pay to not get bogged down in something down the road. So I think, it's taken longer than I'd like to, but I think we're getting their attention, and I think we're going to end up getting what we want, which is, we're just taking in enough money from the permits to turn around and pay for the inspections. So, that's what we're doing. Yeah, that one too. So there's others I've had contact from. So there's really only one builder outstanding. So the rest of them have contacted us.
Key to the issue too, Ralph. We do have an inspector who is very well qualified. And that's key to this issue. It's something that we haven't had for some time. I know I built here in Diamond Inn. It was pretty sketchy as far as any inspections that were done with, during the building process. So the gentleman, maybe you'd like to enlarge on that a little bit.
Well, as we were, and actually Leon discussed this last time, but we found as we were looking for licensed building inspectors that can inspect to the codes, they're few and far between. And most cities, in some sense, grow their own. And so trying to find somebody that could do that was difficult. Leon talked to Mike Scott, who is the head of the building inspection program at the City of Hot Springs, and talked about whether we could basically contract with them for that. He was willing. They went and sit and talked with Bill Burroughs, and I don't know. Leon would know best. I don't know if it's with him or when he talked to other people, which I expect was their lawyers, and probably didn't want the liability. I don't know, but they basically come back and said, no, we really can't, do that. And so, but Mike was willing to work with us, and it's not going to be, that many out here at any one time. So he said, I can work and do that for you. So we have an arrangement with him to do that. He's been doing this for years. He's actually on the committees for some of the codes, and very extremely qualified. So we're going to be, lucky to have him. So I think we're set and ready to go. We just have to get those guys to understand that we're serious. I think I can say also that we've been interviewing for our part-time office support bookkeeper, and those have gone well, so we'll be ready to pick that soon. I think we have to look at when to start. It's kind of going to be tied in with our software for the business, and I forget where that's on here, but let me just go ahead and mention it since it kind of is. We had gone through looking at software for the municipality to keep up with all of our funds and transactions and everything we need to do, things we have to report to the state. There is a program called CenterPoint, CSA, and I forget what that stands for, but anyway, there's more than half the cities in Arkansas use it. It's geared more for smaller municipalities. And so we decided to go ahead and purchase that. We signed that contract and made that purchase. They allow us to make a down payment and then pay out over 2 years, because the total cost was $10,000, which sounds high, but other programs would not do what it would do. We really need it. We want to keep things simple for ourselves, and it's set up for us, really. But also, they need, once we've set that up, they need 5 or 6 weeks to get it built and ready to install. They will need things from us that we will need to put in there in certain funds and how we want to transact things. We need to talk to a CPA that we've talked with about how to set that up. And then when they'll come in and load it and do the training. And so since this person is going to be office support and bookkeeping, they will need to get trained in this process. So all this we're working to line up so we can get them in the office, but they'll be there as we're getting this loaded up and ready to start doing things. Right now, John's keeping up with all of it, which we will transfer into the program so that we got the continuity there. So that is going on. As I mentioned earlier, we are looking at establishing a full-time marshal. That's not just as easy as saying we're going to have a full-time marshal, because you have to have someone who is certified law enforcement. There's also a lot of requirements in terms of your policies and different things, and honestly, we're trying to learn what some of those are. And so Patty has been going through all the documents online with the standards and what her commission, I don't know, any commission. And we'll have to put all this things in place that we will have to have required, and then we'll have to go make a presentation to this state commission to get approved. And so there's a lot in there. It's going to take a while, but we are working it. And I'm also meeting with the Gurdon City Marshal next week to say, okay, how do y'all work it? What's your, we can plagiarize as much as we can. So anyway, trying to learn that. So that's the path that we're on, at least. We had a meeting recently with Dana Poindexter, who is a regional director for the Arkansas Department of Economic Development. And, we had mentioned before, we had worked to put together a grant opportunity that the state had given. So we put that in. Dana and some of the other regional directors actually were helpful in answering questions and helping get us online with that. That will be selected this fall. We have no idea. It'll be competitive with the rest of the state, so we don't know. But hopefully we'll be successful. And if we're not, then we'll just keep working like we are and look for the next opportunity. But anyway, it will, if we do get it, it will provide us to build a city hall with the joint facilities and all for the city marshal. So that's what we're looking at, and we'll know more about that this fall. But anyway, Dana was helpful there, so she wanted to meet with us and get to see who we really were and understand. And so she is a focal point for us for grants, and so she understands more about us now. And I think she was very complimentary of what we've been able to do in the time we've had and some of the challenges we've overcome. But anyway, that was a good conversation. We'll have some follow-ups there, and I think that will help us down the road. Another I want to mention about, y'all may remember, we also had passed a nuisance ordinance, and there was a number of different things in there. It had to do with how kept or unkept a lot was, and it had to do with littering, and had to do with dumping, and had to do with a number of different things. But the part we were really focusing on was some of the roads, not the roads themselves, but the side of the roads. It's gotten really grown up out here, There's places where it's grown up around the stop signs, you can't see around the corners. I mean, it's not only unsightly, it's dangerous. So we wanted to pass that and start getting that word out. And ended up, we saw, y'all may have saw it too, but the POA put out a notice that they understood that things had gotten grown up and they were taking steps to get some new equipment and be able to handle that. So, my view right now is let's just watch and wait a little bit then, because the situation with the ordinance is that if it's not taken care of, we can notify the right people, and after 30 days, if they don't do it, then we will do it. And but if they're in a position to try to do more of that, take care of that, we'll wait and see. But if they don't, then we'll be ready to step in and use that ordinance. Okay, the rest of things on here, I think, is the just the scheduling and all. I will say and I just gave them a copy today. But anyway, and this Dana Poindexter had suggested it wouldn't hurt, because she said this grant we applied for was basically goes back to the governor's office. It was one of her pet projects, if you will. And so it wouldn't be bad to address her about it. So I wrote a letter and sent that from here to the governor's office. Whether they'll help or not, but at least she'll know we're here and what we're doing to get things set up. So, but if you did want to read it, there's some copies up here. I'm sure you could take a look at it. So that's all I have. I'll ask the city council members if they've got any topics we need to bring up. All right, if not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right. All those in favor of adjournment, raise your right hand. That looks unanimous. We are adjourned.
Yes, ma'am, you can.
Ralph, did you hear about the
Yeah.
accident?